Hi everyone. Today we'll be going over owner distributions and management fees. This is a crucial feature for our property managers. It allows the system to do the work for you and calculate those invoices and allows you to send those payments to your owners in a timely manner. So the first step I did was I added the property under portfolio, and you can see here it has been added. And then I also added the owner under contacts owners. Once I had them added, I can assign them to this property. And you can always edit that assignment here under the owners tab on the property page. As you can see, when I edited that owners tab, once there's a property assigned, it will open up more sections underneath that. The top one will be the owner distributions. This will allow you to have the system create net distribution invoicing automatically or flat distribution invoicing automatically. You can also turn on both if you need that. I'm going to do net with this one. Net will calculate what the owner should get in their distribution by taking the rent minus any property expenses and your management fees. I don't have a unit reserve, so I'll put 0, but if you did have a per unit reserve, you could fill that out here. For the invoice due date, we do recommend that you do it at least on the 15th or somewhere towards the second half of the month. This allows the money time to process and get settled into your account. If the rent payment is made, but it is still pending, by the time this invoice was supposed to post, then the invoice will not post. The money has to say that the rent has been fulfilled for that invoice and the system to know to post that. If I were to do flat distribution, this is where the owner gets the same amount every month, no matter what property expenses are deducted, and does not matter if I get a management fee or not. So I set that to the 17th for my net distribution. Under that, you'll also see a section to set up your management fees. There's 2 options with this. The first rent payment commission is going to be for the first month of rent. Sometimes management companies will take a bigger percentage on the first month of rent. So this allows you to set that up here. You can do fixed amount or a percentage of the rent. And then the second toggle is going to be ongoing rent commission. So this is for all of the recurring rent invoices after the first has been posted. Again, you can do percentage or fixed amount. Now, something to note with the management fee on this owner's tab on the property, this does not necessarily control whether the management fee invoice is created or not. I'm setting this up after I've already moved some tenants into this property, so it could be that I did not set the management fee up when I was moving that tenant in. That's where you'll actually want to make sure that it is turned on, is in that lease when you're moving the tenant in. That will create the invoice for the system to automatically make those invoices every time the rent is paid. This, filling it out here under the property and the owners tab, will ensure that if I move anybody into this property after I've set this up, it will default to this setting when I move them in. Under that, you can see a renewal fee. This is if you get a percentage whenever a tenant renews their lease. Again, you can do percentage or fixed amount. So I'll go ahead and click update. And then now that I've gotten my owner distributions set up in my owners tab, I'll go ahead and take a look at the owner's profile. Once we're on the owner's profile, we can see here that there are some balance widgets as well as a required reserve widget. So my balance seems a little bit odd to me. If that's ever the case, it doesn't seem like you owe them that much or that they owe you that much, you can pull the owner statement report. And this report is going to show you all the money that goes into the property, all the money that goes out, and then the balance. If it's a positive balance, that means that you owe the owner. If it's a negative balance, the owner would owe you. So, like I said, this $7,500 balance isn't right to me. So, I'm going to go and look through each month and make sure that there's an owner distribution for every month, there's a rent invoice, and a management fee. There can also be property expenses. So if the property expenses more than the rent for that month, you will want to look at that as well. So here I can see for November, I did not give a owner distribution. Looks like December, January, February, March due, but I'm also missing it for April, May, June, July, and then August. So if I see that I'm missing those owner distribution invoices, I'm going to go back to the owner's profile and just look at the transactions to double check. And I can see here I only have December, January, February, and March. So I am missing some owner distributions that owner is owed. To create that owner distribution invoice, you'll want to go to accounting on the left-hand side and then transactions. From here, to create that owner distribution invoice that's missing, you'll click on money out and then owner distributions. So I know that I didn't have many expenses, so it would be the normal amount that they would be getting every month for most of those months. So I'll just make one for April. And since it is the same amount, I'll mark that as paid. Select the owner as the payee. I believe that was for unit 1. And then I'll go ahead and hit create. Here it's going to ask you to mark this as paid. If I were to pay it online, this button would be green if the owner has their account verified and their bank account added. Then you would be able to pay online. There is no processing fee for that. So it is a great way to track your payments and make sure that everything is in one spot. If I paid it outside of the system, then I would just mark it as paid. And if you have reconciliation, you'll just want to make sure you select the bank account that you actually paid that from. Once that's added, I can also look at management tools under accounting, and this will show me my open management fees as well as my owner distributions. So I don't have any owner distributions open at the moment, but I do have management fees. Just to go back to the owner distributions, if you have multiple months missing like I do and it is going to be the same amount, if you open the owner distribution, you can open any of the owner distributions, and like I said, if it's going to be the same amount that this invoice was for, you can actually come up here and hit Actions Clone, which will save some time, and you'll just want to change that due date for each month that you're missing. So I'll go ahead and add May. And I'll mark that as paid. After I've added the owner distribution, I just want to go and check that owner statement report again, just to see if the balance has gone down and it's getting a little closer to what I believe it should be. And it is, and then you can see here, I now have owner distributions for December through May. I'm still missing June, July, and August, but one of those months could have expenses, so I would want to pull that report again and look at it by month. I also want to check and make sure that there's a management fee for any month that had a positive balance after expenses and owner distributions were taken. So I'll look through here and I can see here that I am missing a management fee for July. If I'm missing a management fee, that could mean that I don't have the management fees turned on for that tenant in their lease. So I would look up this tenant for this property. So I'll go to Contacts Tenants and I will view that tenant's profile. From there, I'll want to click on the Leases tab and view the active lease. Once I'm on the active lease, there will be some tabs near the bottom of the page, and I'll click on Lease Transactions and scroll down to the bottom. And you can see here, I did set up a first rent payment commission for my management fees, but I don't have ongoing. So I'll hit Edit Management Fee and turn that ongoing on. I'll do a percentage and hit Update. So now that that is turned on this tenant's lease, every time the system posts the rent invoice for this tenant, there will also be a management fee made. The reason that you could run into that the management fee is not turned on even though you set it in the property is if you moved those tenants in before you set it up under Properties on the Owner tab. So I could have moved that tenant in before I knew to set this up. Going forward, when I move any new tenants in, this will be the default for them when they move in. So now that I've turned the management fee on and I know that it will post for future invoices, it's not going to post for any rent invoices that have already been posted. So since July's rent invoice is already posted, but there's no management fee, I'll want to manually make that. So I'll come to the left-hand menu and click on Accounting and Transactions. As a property manager, the management fee is income for you, so you'll want to go to Money In Management Fee. I'll change the due date to July. And I'll fill out the invoice and I'm going to mark it as paid. Actually, we will leave this unmarked so we can show you how to manage them in bulk. So now that that management fee is made, I'll come down to Management Tools under Accounting. And you can see here, as we showed before, this is the Management Fees tab, and this will show all of your management fees that are outstanding and open. So I see here that my June, July, and August are right here. You can select multiple and come up at the top and do Actions Record as Paid. I personally would not do that if they're for different months. If I had August management fees for different properties or different units and they're all August management fees, I would manage them in bulk, because when you record them as paid, you're only going to be able to pick one date paid. And if you were to mark the June or July invoices as paid in August, it could mess up how it pulls on the report. So I will check my June management fee and then do Actions Record as Paid. I'll select my payment account, confirm, and record as paid. And it is still a good idea to do your management fees from this Management Tools page, because as you can see, it'll keep me on this list and I can just go through and work my way and mark each one as paid instead of going into each invoice individually and doing it that way. Something else to note with the management fees, if you have more than one bank account attached to your property manager account, when you open a management fee, you will have the option to pay online. So I could move my management fee amount from the bank that the rent is collected into maybe my separate business account or my personal account. And you can do that through TenantCloud without any fees. Once I've marked this July management fee invoices paid, I can go back to that owner statement and see if that balance has gone down some. And it does continue to go down. Like I said, you will want to take your time and work through this month by month. If you've forgotten expenses that were actually paid, if your management fee changed for whatever reason, you do want to make sure that your records in your bank account and everywhere else match your TenantCloud account so that you have the most accurate reports that you can. If you have been with us for a while, or maybe you're entering leases that have a start date in the past and your owner statement reports have gotten kind of a mess and overwhelming, we can help you go through that. We won't be able to tell you if your numbers are right or wrong, so you would need to know the totals that it should be. But as long as you have the expenses recorded somewhere and the owner distributions that you actually did pay, as well as the management fees, we do offer Cloud Plus, where I would work with you one-on-one, and we can go through and I can help you make a plan to fix the report and show you what steps would be needed, and even work with you one-on-one while you're doing that if you'd like. So if you're interested in more information on that, please reach out to us at support@tenantcloud.com. And that covers owner distributions and management fees in TenantCloud. We covered both the automated owner distribution and management fees as well as creating them manually. Your best friend is going to be the owner statement report when it comes to figuring out your totals for those owner distributions and management fees, and it's a great report to share with the owners so that they're able to see the tracking of the income versus expenses as well. Thank you so much for joining today.